Well, we're doing a little special episode because so much went on over the weekend, and I was out on the road, and Joe Prano was with me. And for full transparency, we were not going to record a show to cover all the late-breaking news, but so much news happened, and we just came off the road. We're up in Seattle area, did a casino in Snoqualmie, Eugene, Oregon. And we thought, well, we're going to be here to drop the car off on a Sunday afternoon. So we came in and decided we owe you guys our feelings and updates on all that's been going on. So, just mechanically, Joe and I had finished a show in Eugene, Oregon, and we're getting in the rental car for about a 5.5-hour drive to Snoqualmie, which I still can't say. But anyway, it's about 5.5 hours. It's a casino. And about 2.5, 3 hours in, Mike August called and said there was a big fracas at the Trump rally. And then we started listening to NPR, but we weren't really getting the full story. But people heard gunshots and there was blood in the ear. And I tend to play things down because everyone else plays things up. But this was quite a bit more dire than I'd initially gleaned from inside our rental car. So we can get into that. Also, a lot of notable people all dying within a 14-hour period as well, some of which I had some contact with and others which I haven't. But, we just thought there was so much going on. We're back. Dropping the car off at the studio anyway. We should get the boys, tell them we're getting the band back together. Everyone showed up on a Sunday, which was mighty nice of them. And so we'll try to feel our way through this and the news and keep it, kind of current. All right. So the Trump thing. The Trump thing's pretty nuts. There's lots of elements to it. I would have never thought in a million years a bullet is what caused the blood to come from his ear. I thought for sure that somebody fired a couple of caps. Could have been a gun, could have been something. He dove on the ground and on the way down, scratched his ear on the dais, a podium. Or one of the Secret Service guys had a college football ring, and when he put his hand, he tore his ear. The idea of a bullet, like an AR-15, I think, like a high-powered rifle bullet, actually made contact with Trump's ear is kind of insane.
Are you convinced that's for sure what happened now?
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
Just checking.
I'm giving you all of what I know as I know it. So as I know it, and I listened to a couple of newscasts and commentaries up until that were fresh off the griddle. Guy, lone gunman, shoots. Trump evidently was moving his head around, and if it was in the other place, the bullet would have went right in the back of his neck. But he moved at the last moment, and it clipped his ear, and a bullet went in and basically blew someone's brains out in the audience. So you have a murdered person in the audience. It was supposed to be Trump's brain matter, but it was someone who was at the rally.
And former fire chief.
Oh, I didn't know that part. But according, there were a couple physicians on hand, like an emergency physician that was there, and according to them, he was just basically dead as soon as the bullet struck him. But they're still going to put the towels and do the CPR and try to breathe for him and stuff like that. But I think it was pretty evident to the physicians who were there that he wasn't going to make it, and he wasn't going to make it not to the hospital. He wasn't going to make it off the grandstand.
Out of the parking lot.
Right. So that's tragic. Another woman, I guess, was hit in the wrist or forearm or something like that. Trump was hit evidently in the ear. Now, I haven't heard he needs 9 stitches or Mike Tyson is pissed or I haven't heard anything other than he got hit in the ear. And
I thought for sure he would have put on Truth Social a picture of the wound and Annie Oakley, meme or something like that. I thought he would be riding this already, but we haven't seen anything other than the blood on his face And there is like a shot, I don't know if it's legitimate or not, of like a bullet flying through the air. Did you see that shot?
Somebody mentioned that.
Yeah.
And I believe it. But anyway, so it struck him in the ear. Evidently didn't cause much damage. Then, he went down, then he got up and said, fight, and USA made the fist. And if I'm him, I think that's the picture I want out there, not a close-up of my earlobe. So maybe that's what they're doing. But lone gunman. So some interesting things like protocols that I didn't know about. So this 20-year-old gunman is up on the roof of this building, which is, I don't know, 150 yards away or something like that. But, within range, like, we went out shooting not too long ago, and you could hit stuff that was, a couple hundred yards away with a rifle, with a scope. You weren't going to do it with a pistol, and you weren't going to do it with like the bolt action stuff. But like scope, rifle, you could be pretty good with that. And so the first question is why didn't the Secret Service clear the buildings? Like, that was really the only structure that was near enough by to get him. And I guess the only thing that good that comes out of these things is they will do it next time for sure.
Right.
But so it's kind of the Secret Service probably should have cleared it. Then Secret Service has snipers around, which took the kid out, which took the 20-year-old out. Because I was kind of wondering how did he go so fast? And it's usually self-inflicted
And you've seen the
wound.
video of the snipers on the roof that's just off of where Trump is, kind of seemingly finding him and then taking a shot pretty immediately. I don't know if those are the guys who got him or if it was other snipers.
I think when they break down the audible of the shot, pause, shot, and you'll know which one the sniper, the assassin was versus the Trump sniper. I mean the security.
Right.
So there is a protocol which I think they need to change, which is people were saying there's a guy on the roof, and shortly, maybe moments after they were saying there's a guy on the roof, he started firing on Trump. And then second he started firing on Trump, then the Secret Service sniper fired on him, and then he was dead. So what it appears to be, and what I was told the protocol was, is the Secret Service sniper is not allowed to fire on the guy until the guy fires on the president. I know. I'm with you on that.
That seems crazy. This isn't...
I know. I've always felt that way, too, with, like, stalkers and stuff. They go, well, if he breaks in, then call the cops. It's like, well, if he breaks in, he's in the bedroom, and you guys are 25 minutes away.
Yeah, is a guy allowed to go on a roof nearby with a gun if he's light? Like, that still seems like it would be illegal and that you would...
They said, look, would you... what would happen if a guy was up on the roof with a telescope or something, and you just the sniper just put a bullet in his head? I would kind of argue, don't get on the roof. Then, that, it's still on you. But that's another one that. So evidently, the Secret Service sniper was aware of this guy, and maybe even had him in his sights, but couldn't engage or squeeze the trigger until he squeezed the trigger. When he squeezed the trigger, then he was dead, from what I hear, seconds later. So I don't think it was a case of the Secret Service sniper being up on a parapet, just sort of looking around, and then hearing gunshots and going, oh, wow, where's that coming from? That would have been a long pause in him getting set. I think he was trained on this guy, and when he squeezed, then the Secret Service guy killed him, which, again, more protocol probably needs to change because, Trump could have had a bullet in his head, and then the sniper get a bullet in his head, and we'd still have a dead presidential candidate. So that one needs to change. Then there's like a lot of DEI talk because the Secret Service wants 30% women before 2030. And, there's some decent points, which is Trump's a sizable dude. He's a big dude. And if you're Secret Service and your job's to like dive on him and cover it, if you're a diminutive woman, you're not going to cover a big dude. Like you need big dudes to cover big dudes. So there's a semi-practical side of it.
If we're going to do a DEI hire for Secret Service, how about like giant black guys, like the guys who do security for rappers? They don't wait for somebody to engage first.
Yes,
they kick your ass when you look at them sideways.
I agree. Let's go DEI. Tyrus from Fox and Friends. But no, so then there's a thing. I was like, they want to get more women in the Secret Service. My whole thing with DEI is like, it's all good for the jobs that don't really matter that much. But the Secret Service and airline pilots and thoracic surgeons and stuff, slow your roll just a little bit. And let's open the door to different people who didn't traditionally inhabit these spaces. But let's not get protocols and get real fast with it, because people will get fucked up if you fast track too many people into med school or too many people into the cockpit or too many people in the Secret Service Academy. If you fast track it, shit's going to happen. So I'm with you in spirit, but let's just slow it down. And if you're talking about nursery school teachers or something, then who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, they're a bunch of jobs that don't matter. And you can do all
the ones we don't need DEI for, because all the women do them anyway.
They do them anyway. But all those jobs, by all means. But the ones where they got the yoke and they're on the flight deck and their fucking engine 3 is caught on fire. Like, I want the guy who fought in Vietnam with the salt and pepper in the hair and marginally racist. All right. So anyway, miraculously, I guess the bullet missed its mark by millimeters and hit his ear, and the guy was. I'm assuming there's not 100% guaranteeing more information is coming out, but I'm assuming the Secret Service guys were trained on this guy, because there were people going. There's a guy up there, and those guys have walkie-talkies and stuff. I mean, they must have seen him up there. They must have been trained on him. I don't know, Emmy, if we can hear it, if we can hear the gunshots. But I think what you're going to hear is the assassin firing the gunshots, and then a slight pause, and then the Secret Service guy, and then the gunshots stop. So that would. Let's see if we can
see what we got here.
See if we can do this here.
See something that said, take a look what happened.
That was probably the sniper shot, that last one. All right.
I was even thinking there's that first 3, and then maybe the rest could also be return fire.
Yes. Yeah. No.
And then the last one.
The only reason I think that is the first 3 and then pause have sort of the same timbre and feel like they're coming from the same caliber, and the Secret Service guy would probably use another rifle, and it would have a slightly different sound to it, and would be coming from a different place. So that's my notion on that. But either way, Trump gets hit. Trump grabs his ear. Trump sort of pauses for a moment. Yeah, the Secret Service guys. Hey, man, 2 white dudes? Come on, we got DEI that shit up.
All in American Sniper cosplay with the beard. They all look exactly the same.
Yeah, so
maybe we do need DEI snipers. I mean, you can't all have the exact same look, guys.
They do have the same beard. So I'm assuming these guys were trained on the shooter. They must have known he was there.
Well, the former FBI assistant director shredded Trump's Secret Service, said they failed from start to finish. Now, that's Chris Swecker. This was a security breakdown from start to finish.
Well, from start, for sure. I don't know
Yeah.
about the finish,
I know,
but the
and
beginning part is, look, I don't know what it's going to take to make sure no one's on the roof of a building that's pretty close by, but that doesn't seem like it would take a battalion. You know, there's one guy with a walkie-talkie could go
And
check
there's
that out.
videos of guys being like, this guy on the roof. What
Right.
are we doing about him?
There's audio and video of the guy saying this guy's on the roof just a minute. I mean, I say minute, seconds before they start shooting.
There's also what sounds like maybe his mom on like that video. She's like, Tom's up there. Tom, get him down. He's laying down.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Because his name's Thomas.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Tom's up there.
Oh,
And
man.
he went with them.
What was mom doing
I think they were all at the rally. I think he took off on them.
Oh,
She's pointing up like, Tom's
it
up
wasn't. So
She drove him there. We got to.
it was impromptu. Jesus Christ! It's like Kyle Rittenhouse's mom.
Mom, can I get a ride in an assassination attempt?
Jesus Christ!
You never come to my games. Will you come to my assassination attempt?
Oh wow! I didn't know that part. But look, either way, hit the ear. He's okay. Probably gonna help in the polls. Yeah, Secret Service. Everybody, no roofs, nothing nearby. Kind of, it goes against Trump, but I don't know. Does it need a little Pope Mobile action, like the dome from the Pope Mobile, where it's like, hey Pope, hey Pontiff, you're not using that, right? Could we just use the dome?
Do you think that this is when there's a failed assassination attempt on Trump? You think he's like good for a while now, or I mean, this isn't. They're more likely to step up security. They're more likely to, and also I would imagine an assassination gone wrong, people will be less likely to give it a shot themselves. But I don't know. It's
I don't know. Look, all right. So then we get to
I hit a deer once. I was like, I'm probably not going to hit a deer again for another 10 years.
Yeah. Well,
What are
look,
the chances?
there's a couple things. Well, first they put protocols in place where they don't get to do what they do. You get sort of, you and I just got off a flight. The flight had a reinforced cockpit door. So no more charging the cockpit. Right. So then you do something, you get away with it once, and then we counteract it with something else. So now
Still taking our shoes off for
still taking the shoes.
shoe bomb gone wrong.
But they're going to be checking all the roofs from here on in. So now there's like,
Unless you buy the fast pass unless you get TSA pre-check to the roof. If you pay them $85, you can still get on the roof.
we just went through this protocol at SeaTac 3 hours ago. So, all right. So now there's like two sides of it. There's a kind of mechanical side and then sort of a spiritual side, and so you go, and we played the clip of Tucker Carlson. I don't know if we have that clip. I don't know if we're planning on playing that clip, but we have it. And Tucker wasn't the only one, but he was talking about Trump and assassinations on this show not too long ago. And I never really thought about it much, but it makes sense when he kind of breaks it down.
Yeah.
And then there's another part that kind of needs to be discussed, and we can get into that. But I don't know if we have Tucker or we're going to wait for a second. I'll get into the rhetoric part of it. I've said this many times. Look, if you are going to call somebody Hitler, then it would be a patriot who attempted to kill Hitler. Now, I'm not a hyperbolic, like, video games make people violent, and rock and roll music makes colored kids want to have sex. I'm not that guy.
Oh, that one I buy.
But if you're going to call somebody Hitler over and over again, there is a kind of deductive math, which is, we all wish Tom Cruise was successful in Valkyrie. Like the world would have liked Hitler assassinated in 1938 and a half or 39 or any time before 41. And so if that's what you're saying, then you are kind of saying, well, it wouldn't be such a bad thing if, in fact, you think he's Hitler. Now, and or going to end democracy, which is basically the two angles Biden is running on, which is sort of Hitler and democracy. Now, I don't think, now, here's the good news. I know Joe Biden is lying, and he doesn't think he's Hitler, and I know Joy Reid doesn't think that, and I know MSNBC and Morning Joe. Like, all the people that are saying it don't think it, which kind of makes them worse because they don't really think it, and they don't really think democracy is going to end. But some fucked up 20-year-old may be believing Joy Reid when she's explaining he's Hitler, even though she's lying. And I don't know even what to call it. Like, is it lying or you just fucking talking or whatever that thing is? But we'll play the Tucker clip from several months ago. Yeah, get it on. We got the whole episode. All right. Well, if you find that part of the
we just put it on all of our socials today.
Are they?
It's a short so it changes on them.
Oh, okay. Going to let Trump be president?
They protested him. They called him names. He won anyway. They impeached him twice on ridiculous pretenses. They fabricated a lot about what happened on January 6th in order to impeach him again. It didn't work. He came back. Then they indicted him. It didn't work. He became more popular. Then they indicted him 3 more times, and every single time his popularity rose. So if you begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work, what's next? I mean, graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination. Obviously, permanent Washington, both parties have decided that there's something about Trump that's so threatening to them, they just can't have him. By the way, the president is senile in a way that's impossible to deny. Biden's not running the government. I don't know. I've never been this worried about anything as I am about where this is going.
All right. So now he's not, the 20-year-old kid's not a government operative.
Right.
But if you say end of democracy enough and you say Hitler enough, some percentage of and by the way, it weirdly, I don't blame the person. In a weird, it's sort of like this. Look, it's like when everyone just lied about Hunter Biden's laptop, or they just lied about all COVID, everything, or the 51 guys from the FBI signed the document saying that the laptop was fake. Well, there's 2 scenarios. One, they're liars. They're definitely lying. They had the laptop. They knew it. Them of all people could have vetted it, known it, and they all signed a document so Biden could present it in a debate so that we could save democracy. So I tell people all the time, look, people in Paris in 1943 or in the French underground had papers that were forged, that were showing Nazis at train stations. Were they lying? Yeah, they were lying. Were those forged papers? Yes, those were forged papers. That guy's dressed up like a Nazi, and he's a French underground resistance guy. Yeah, but he's a hero, but he's a liar. Mm-hmm. So if you take it at face value, if you go, look, we want Biden to win because the other guy is going to end democracy. Well, then give me this document that says that laptop is fake and I'll sign it, because that's what you should do.
Yeah.
And if you believe that he is Hitler, then you should take a shot at him, because I would have hoped I wish a German citizen took out Adolf in 1938. So now we're at a weird crossroads because Biden and the left are simultaneously saying he's Hitler and it's going to end democracy. And then they're saying, let's cool the rhetoric. There's no place for violence. Well, there's plenty of place for violence if somebody's going to destroy a democracy. Yeah, I would say there is.
Do you take this whole assassination attempt at face value? Is there any part of it? I said in the car when we knew very little, I was like, this feels conspiracy like if all we had seen right out of the gate was Trump with his fist up and a little blood on him, and it was like you couldn't have had a PR team craft a better Trump response. And then also just a 20-year-old kid. When I was 20, I didn't give a shit about this at all. Like, I'm wondering if it's just a different 20 today, that we're so divided that a 20-year-old can't help but to be involved in this stuff. But I can't imagine being 20 years old and caring enough about who's going to be the president of the United States to get a rifle and go take a shot at him.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough people, enough guns, enough internet, enough gummies, chewables, edibles, like enough.
Don't come after the edibles, Adam.
There's just enough of everything that everything's on the table now. All right, so do we have that? I got a clip. I thought the clip was the commercial, sorry, Byron, was a couple of days old, but Byron says it's a month old, so we'll play it. But this is kind of what I'm talking about.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Of course I hate these people.
Donald Trump disrespecting black folk is nothing new. He was sued for refusing to rent his apartments to black families and called for the execution of 5 innocent black and brown teenagers.
And it's more than anger, it's hatred.
It's why Trump stood with violent white supremacists, warned of a bloodbath if he loses the next election, and if he's president again, vowed to be a dictator who wants revenge on his enemies. Now, who do you think that is?
Of course I hate these people.
Well, if you believe it, then maybe you should take some action. Now, the thing that's weird, and it's the thing I talked to Dr. Drew the most about, which is like bloodbath. He was talking about financial stuff. Dictator, day one, was it's as big a, easy, discernible joke as there was. Good people on both sides. It's all been disproven, and you have all the footage. CBS and NBC and USA Today. I mean, the Biden campaign, they're going to do what they're going to do. But where's the news agencies on this one? Like, he said he was going to be a dictator. He said for one day, and he was laughing. Yeah. It's so discernible, and you guys keep going with it, and you're doing it intentionally, which means you're essentially willfully fooling yourself over something you don't believe, that you're saying over and over again to your audience who may or may not believe it either. But there's no way seasoned news anchors with footage who can watch Sean Hannity talk to Trump believe dictator day one or whatever. But if you're going to be a dictator and you hate black people and it's going to be the end of democracy and you're Hitlerian, then yeah. Well, if half of that's true, then we should. We'd like to get rid of this guy.
I'm not the world's biggest Donald Trump fan, and I always tell people I'm a born and raised New Yorker, so we hated Donald Trump for 30 years before anybody else even knew who he was, just from what he did in and around New York City. But we already had Donald Trump for 4 years.
I do kind of say that to people.
Like this idea that day one of the presidency, he already had day one of the presidency. We already did 4 years. And yeah, there was moments that were not great of his presidency. Things got pretty bad at times. I mean, January 6th, for whatever you think, is not the greatest day in American history. But what really happened, the idea that he's going to come in and it's going to be the end of days. And that you can convince a 20-year-old to believe that.
Their only argument, if I was to take their side, and I agree with you, we already tried it. He was already president. Nothing happened. But they would say now he's on the way out. Like, this is it. He's going out with a flourish.
Second-term presidency.
Yeah, I think they would say he's got scores to settle. He wants revenge, and this is it. So and he's going to be in forever, which was always kind of funny because, like, he is elderly at this point, and his left ear's bad, so right ear. Either way, it can't. Even if he never left, I couldn't give it more than 5 years. I mean, he's going to get 4, right, and then when he's done, he's going to be 82 or whatever he is.
He does love to golf.
He likes to golf.
I don't think he likes being president more than
he would go eventually, even if the military couldn't remove him. Time would remove him at some point.
And I think he just hated losing.
Yes, I do too.
If he won, And then he was like, I did my time. I don't even think there's parts of me, I don't think he wanted to be president when this whole thing started. But then once he got in it, he doesn't want to lose. He hates he loves calling people losers. He can't be a loser.
I agree. I think he felt like he got ripped off on the last election, and that's what's stuck in his craw. All right, we have a compilation of what? Outlets calling for political violence. Well, so here's all I'm saying to my friends on the left. Don't give me the holier than thou. Hey, turn the temperature down. We don't do this. That's all you do. You do. It's weird. The right are known for the guns and the aggression and stuff like that. But the rhetoric is coming hard from the left. And we got a little super clip of that.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face.
All right.
I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Don't give me the holier than thou shit. It's all, the left fucking stirs it hard. A lot of take to the street. I mean, God, when I was watching Maxine Waters, like, when you see somebody, you get in their face. You tell them you're not welcome in this restaurant, not welcome. And it's like, bitch, shut up, or stop blaming the other side of doing it. You can't do both. It's either both sides, but you can't claim the high ground and then scream about getting in people's faces. And
I posted, and it might have been my last actual post about anything that wasn't just a comedy flyer on Facebook years ago, when there was like the thing in Seattle and one of the Proud Boys was up there and somebody just went up and cold cocked him in the face. And I said, at this point, who is the party that is supposed to be the pacifists? Like, who are the ones that don't want violence? And somebody was like, oh, you don't like punching Nazis? And I was like, I don't believe I'm a pacifist at heart now. In my older days, like, no violence. And if your party can't stand by that, then I'm out, which is why I am a partyless individual.
I haven't seen it. I just heard about it, but I was alluding to the Secret Service agent lady trying to get her gun holstered and having some difficulty with it, which probably did not help the DEI stuff that much.
Why does she look like she's at a Blues Brothers costume party?
Yeah, listen, I've been... all right, she got it back in there. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just like old fashioned. I just want big dudes who played high school and college football, who hate their stepdad, who spend all their time down at the range and are sleeved. That's all I want. All right. Lots of other stuff. And we'll update you as we learn more and all that kind of stuff. But lots more in the news. Mm-hmm. Feel bad for the people that passed because, when Mike August called, he was like, Dr. Ruth went, and then Richard Simmons went, and then somebody got Farrah Fawcetted, which is Farrah Fawcett died the same day Michael Jackson died, and so people forgot she died.
The Trump call from Mike August was actually the second call.
Right.
First, he called us to tell us Richard Simmons had died.
I know. There's some, and then he likes to make weird, macabre jokes like, "Oh, those dolphin shorts are going to a better home" or something. And I always say to Mike, I go, "Mike, I'm a comedian, so I don't think your stuff's that funny."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If I was like a coworker and we worked in a mill or a plant or a dock somewhere, then you might be funny, but not me. I do this for a living, so your C-list bits aren't really rocking my world. But he'll try to work some jokes in, and
he's writing for you. He's like, you got a show tonight. You might want to use this.
I always say to him too, it's like, I don't, Michael, if the person's dead, give him 2 days. You know,
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you about that in regards to the Trump shooting and then on deaths. Are you okay with people making jokes? Do you specifically not do it? There are some people who kind of make it their brand.
Look, if something's really good, like when I came up with my Rebecca Gayheart nickname joke, that was so strong that
it couldn't wait.
And it was model Rebecca Gayheart has the same nickname as Manny Pacquiao, the Mexicutioner. Now, Manny Pacquiao would take out a lot of Mexican fighters, and she took out one driving through Hollywood. Some 9-year-old Mexican kid was running across the street. She ran him over. So, you know, the Mexicutioner, that's strong.
Yeah. I said yesterday when Dr. Ruth and Richard Simmons passed, I was like, tough day to be a very small person who was a big celebrity in the 80s and loved cock.
Yes. Yeah. See?
And I did it on stage last night, and it was well received by the patrons of Snoqualmie Casino in rural Washington.
I have a couple thoughts. I don't if you make it past like your 73rd birthday, I'm sort of okay.
You're open. It's open season on your death.
If you
Unless
made
it was tragic somehow.
If you make it to a point where you're older than 98.3% of human beings that have ever been born throughout history. So like if you think about it, if you get philosophical about it, if you make it to like 74 years old, which doesn't sound incredibly old in modern times to us, but you've made it past 97% of all humanity that's ever come before you. Anyone ever born. Now, yeah, people die in childbirth. People die at 14. People got tetanus when they're 9, and died 500 years ago. Like, whatever it is, you make it to 70, you've beat the globe.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So that's fine. Now, that doesn't hold true for the 9-year-old Mexican kid that Rebecca Gayheart ran over.
Right.
So, maybe I should back off that one a little bit. But if you make it to a certain age, it's kind of on.
So Dr. Ruth, Richard Simmons, fair game.
I'd say
Shannon Doherty, wait till
you got to wait
next
a little
week.
bit. Yeah. I didn't know any of them. Shannon Doherty probably did Loveline many years ago. She was fighting this breast cancer for a long time. She would show up at these events, Comic-Con for 90s stars, stuff, and do the thing on the stage and the symposium. And she was bravely battled this thing for a long period of time. And I guess it finally got up to her. And I think she kind of knew it. I mean, It was pretty clear that this wasn't going to go away. And so she got a couple years, I think, out of it. But my Richard Simmons, I don't think I've ever met. Dr. Ruth, I used to listen to.
I did say, jokingly, that you moved up the ranks of living radio sex voices.
I never thought about it until you brought it up, but yeah, I went up a notch.
As far as radio sex doctors, I think Drew might be now number one. Like he really skyrocketed.
I shall inform him of that the next time we speak, because you bring up a very valid point. My only, I think there were 2 Dr. Ruth stories, but the only one I ever remember is the one I told, which I was driving on the freeway. I was driving my truck. It was like the 80s, and I was listening to Dr. Ruth, syndicated daytime TV. I think it was daytime radio. And some guy called in. He was like, Dr. Ruth, I'm with my girlfriend a lot sexually, and we're not using protection, but she's not getting pregnant, so I don't really know what's going on, but we don't use protection, and we have sex a lot. She's not pregnant. And she goes, well, do you pull out? And he goes, yeah, when I'm done. And I just thought, I just love humanity. I just love humanity. I love people. I feel like I get at least 7 of those answers a week where I just say something and I go, if you think that's what I'm asking you, then you think I'm clinically insane. If you ask ever, like, I love that he paused. He was a little confused. He set the table with, we don't use protection, and she's not pregnant. So there's really only one question that could come after that. But now, so she, what was she, in her 90s?
She was. We got that right here. I get that.
And Doherty was like 53.
Doherty was 53. That's correct. And Dr. Ruth was 96.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard. And Richard Gere, there's a little difference there. Yeah.
Watch out, Richard Gere.
Those two, Richard Simmons, have not been seen for...
Richard Simmons sort of disappeared.
And there was a scuttlebutt in like the Phoenix airport with him and a pro wrestler a million years ago. Do you ever remember that story?
No.
There was a story of Richard Simmons like assaulting a pro wrestler in like the Phoenix airport, like from 2007 or something. It was a crazy story because it was a big dude, and he was looking for a payday. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but the way my brain works, it was Richard Simmons, a big dude who I think was a wrestler, an airport, like waiting to get on a Southwest flight or something, Phoenix, an assault.
Okay.
And
you've given them all the tags they need to potentially find this.
And we got to go back like 17 years on this one. But there was a crazy story. I think the guy sued him. Like, I think the guy was trying to get paid. And that's all I remember. And I don't know if the guy cut in front of Simmons and he pushed him or something like that. But the big dude was looking for a check. That's what it sounded like to me, because otherwise there's no reason why this guy would file charges on Richard Simmons. But, Amy, you can find that one. Airport, Simmons, assault, Phoenix. Maybe Phoenix. It could have been like a New Mexico.
I mean, Richard Simmons
Southwest.
airport's assault
Phoenix.
should do the trick, right?
Phoenix, and what year was it from, Emmy?
This article I'm reading is 2004.
Oh, is that far back? Goes back 20 years.
20 years. So he was 56 at the time. He died at 76.
Yeah, I assume he's had something over the last couple of years and was being pretty private about it. And people he went into hiding, but sometimes people are just private.
Yeah. Because I didn't know this. I didn't know, somebody told me it recently, that like until he went into hiding, you could still take a in-person Richard Simmons class here in LA. Like, it was a thing to do for LA people to go to one of Richard Simmons' fitness classes. And I was like, I thought he just like put out tapes and went on talk shows.
No.
I didn't think he like did a thing.
No, he led the band. So, I think what you would say about him is one and done. There's not going to be any more Richard Simmons.
What's the model even?
That's the whole point. It's like they broke the mold.
The original fitness influencer, though.
I didn't even think there was a mold to break.
Yeah.
I just think there's just one of him. His appearances on Letterman were always epic.
Legendary.
And he shall be missed by many a heavy-set woman. They love this guy.
Sweating to the oldies, party off the pounds.
What was that? What happened in that airport?
This is a really weird one, but I'll read it to you. So Chris Farney, 23, who sells motorcycles in Mesa, Arizona, recognized Simmons from television and recalled his Sweating to the Oldies workout video series. Farney blurted out, "Look, Richard Simmons, drop your bags, let's rock to the 50s," as Simmons was signing autographs and posing for pictures. Simmons, then 55, walked up to Farney and said, "It's not nice to make fun of people with issues," and slapped him on the left side of his face.
Wow.
And then the guy may have filed a lawsuit after that, like an assault battery or something.
What I have here is Farney was not injured, but said he intended to press assault charges, which I believe I saw another article that said is dismissed, because he didn't think that anyone should be able to slap another person and get away with it.
Especially rich people.
Yeah, and Farney, also a 6 foot, 1-inch, 255-pound man who said he's fought in cage matches.
That's where I had. So what I had is,
I mean, just take this
biker, motorcycle biker guy, cage fighter, and I turned that into pro wrestling.
Yeah, you basically you turned him into Diesel, the WWF wrestler who came in on the motorcycle.
Right. That's what I turned him into, Diesel. Exactly right. So
if we do a recreation, that's what it should look like.
But he was looking for a payout.
Yeah.
Right. All right. And Richard slapped him. Okay. All right. And Shannon Doherty, gone.
53. Died in your city of Malibu.
Dr. Ruth. Gone. Norm Macdonald, still dead.
Sadly.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's also,
Yeah, my cock joke was basically my homage to Norm for that one.
Yes, that would have been a very Norm
as far as
esque joke.
Tiny celebrities love cock and were stars in the 80s. Also, if you're Tom Cruise, keep your head on a swivel, I guess.
Yeah, he's probably airborne somewhere as we speak. Not necessarily attached to the inside of an airplane. Yeah. It could just be free falling. I will bet you Tom Cruise is free fell more than any celebrity ever. The top 10 free falling celebrities combined. Maybe even more than Swayze.
Yeah, oh yeah. You had talked about the kind of too soon of the death. Mm-hmm. What about, this is a failed assassination attempt against Trump. Is this okay to joke about? Because it seems to be mixed on the internet. I had a picture, I put it up as a tweet. There's a picture of him where the blood is coming out of his mouth. And I just put 5 minutes after the dentist asks you, so you floss every day?
Right.
And I floss every day. And some people are like, too soon. I'm like, he's survived. He's fine. This is the greatest thing that ever happened to his campaign. Like, what is the too soon about this?
Yeah, it's a sort of to each their own. I'm not going to try to set a policy on this one. I think, you go, well, he survived. Good. And then they go, yeah, but now we're entering a scary chapter in America where this may be the new normal or some version of this or something. So then people go, but what if he doesn't make the next one?
Right.
And that kind of thing. So I get both sides. I'm an atheist. You're allowed to say whatever you want.
We agree. We both agree. Joe Biden is a decrepit old man who's coming apart at the seams. Yeah. Him falling off a bike could take him out very easily at this point. But he goes down, and then everybody's like, 20 million jokes about that. But Trump catches a little, Trump has a pierced ear gone wrong, and suddenly we're like, clutching our pearls.
Well, I think the sniper's bullet was the symbolic issue with Trump and this and America and whatever. I mean, you're right that like Joe Biden is one truck backfire away from having a coronary and dying like the horse in Animal House. I know there's he could fall on a bike and be dead tomorrow. Like there is that, but and anyone can die in their sleep or at any time. It's the symbolism of the sniper's rifle that is freaking people out in terms of the chapter that we're in and where we're sort of going. I think everyone's take is a sort of worst case scenario is like civil war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then everyone goes, well, let's not do that. But I think it was the symbolism, and also like he was literally fractions of an inch away from having his head blown off. And then what would that look like in terms of this country? Like what would the reaction be? Who would take to the streets? Like what would you would the Proud Boys on the right even believe it if you want? It was a 20-year-old loan. Oh, yeah, that's what the CIA always says. They get some drifter who's, whatever, and they
right.
I mean, that's
that's part of the story that's coming out too. He's a registered Republican, but he may have even contributed to the Democrats, and now, and I think this is the dumbest thing that we do is to try to be like, You have to be very mentally ill to acquire a rifle and go to kill Donald Trump. I don't judge your political party. Where are you registered to vote?
I'm with you, and my only point is you need under most circumstances you need to be mentally ill, or under all circumstances you need to be mentally ill to go get a rifle and try to take out Donald Trump. But this guy's 20, and since before he could drive, and maybe before his first pew, but certainly since he was 15, he's been hearing that this guy's Hitler.
Yeah.
So now you have to be slightly less mentally ill than you would have had to be if someone just going, I disagree with his policies, but, we all want what's best for America. I'm going to approach the border in the Middle East different than him and, great renewable energy or something. But if you keep going Hitler, we're old. So for me, I was old. And I knew Trump, and I did a show, and so it's easy for us to go, come on, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you were weaned on a diet of this since you were 14, yeah, maybe you'd think different than we think.
Yeah, it's crazy because the conversation of, he's a registered Republican, and then they say, he just wanted to vote in the primaries against Trump. And then they go, he donated to the Democrats. And again, I go back to you're 20 years old. I can't imagine having a spare dollar at 20 years old and not spending it on beer and going, I'm giving it to the Joe Biden campaign.
$15. Yeah.